Hi, I'm Mohit Nakra and this is my tutorial for Shoulder Princess panel basic bodice. First, we are going to start with the diagram. This diagram explains how I have divided the panels front and back into 4 parts. Please follow the marking as per given the diagram because that will help you to understand that faster to how I have created these blocks. It is going to be from highest shoulder point to the length and width as per given in the diagram. First we are going to start with draping of the front block. Okay, we are going to take first 2 panels. We will take our blocks and fold it into half like the way we do it in our basic bodice to get our cross grain line, and then we will mark our first on fold line like we do. Most of these steps and procedure are as per the basic bodice front what we do. It's just that now we are going to divide that panel into 4 parts. So now the first measurement which we will take, we will measure from the center front to the apex point. Okay, and we will take a cross mark on the cross grain line and label it as A, like the way I have done right now. After this, what we will do, we will take the second block, alright, and we'll fold it the way we did it in the bodice, and we will make our cross grain line, and then again we will fold it vertically to get a center line of this panel, which is the PP line, princess parallel line. Okay, like the way we did it in the same basic bodice front, and we will drop it only half. We will not, you can take it the entire line also, but I have taken it half. After this, you will also mark a parallel line from the apex parallel point because this will help you to guide the grain line on the dress form. Okay, and then our markings are done and we will take it to the dress form. Before that, we will also do the marking of back as well, and the steps and procedures are quite similar to the basic bodice back. But before we start anything, we need to label it everything, the on fold, the lengthwise grain, and whatever the markings you need to do, and the writing part in the front and back both. Just remember to do the writing part as well. After this, what you need to do, you need to fold the fabric on the lengthwise grain into 4 parts like the way I am doing. You will get 4 points. Basically, you're dividing this line into 4 parts and you will get 4 points of the lengthwise grain. The first point which you will see will be your shoulder blade level. Okay, and the same way you will follow and transfer the same measurement onto the princess side panel line. If you also see, my center line for the side panel line is again the midpoint or the center line of the center fold of the fabric. Okay, again we will label it, and our back, both the panels are prepared on the flat. And now we will take our first cross mark, which is on the shoulder blade level, which is still the princess line. Center back to the princess point of the intersection, you will take a cross mark and drop a parallel line to the lengthwise grain, and again do the labeling for the side panel. I'm repeating it again that labeling is very important because the more panels you will increase, the more you will get confused with lot of panels around you. So if you will label them and when you will be draping it on your own, then you know the count of panels what you have done. because in this kind of piece you can also do further variation and you can add more panels if you want. And when you are going to increase 4 panels or 6 panels, then it is going to be very difficult for you to remember it. Moving on to the draping of front, we will clip on the bust point and to the bust level line. First, how we do it for the basic bodice front, and we will clip the neckline and the waistline. And you will smoothen it over the neck part to clip and slash from the neck area. Okay, remember that you have to do it along the neck line, not below the neckline. If you are making a closed neckline, then you need to do it along the neckline, like the way I have done, which will help you to get a smoother curve on the neck. After that, we are going to smoothen the waist, and we will smoothen it to the point where to identify where is our princess line, which you can find it with the help of the style tape below the test fit, below the muslin. And then you will start taking your dot marks along the neckline, along the princess line, and princess line will always pass to the bust point, and then filling up the style tape below the muslin, you will mark your princess. Again, if you need to get a much more smoother waist, you need to slash under the waist so that the fabric smoothen out there and you get an eased out waist, and you can identify your true princess line drop line. Okay, mark the waistline and the marking is done. Now remove the pins and remove the draped material of the center front first panel and put it away, so that now we can start draping the side panel over here. Again, over here we will put it the PP point at the midpoint of from bust or apex point to the side seam. We will mark it over there with the pin, and we will put our PP point over there with a pin and mark it and hold it there. And like the way we take ease around the apex point, we will add a pinch of an ease over here, and make sure it's a pinch of an ease like the way I'm taking. Take a pinch of an ease and then pin it over the apex point. And the same way you take a pinch of an ease in between the PP point and side seam point, and then mark the side seam line. Drop the parallel line to the waist and let it fall wherever it's falling automatically, because it will automatically fall on the grain. And drape the armhole. Just secure the material however you can, okay, so that you get clear points. Slash on the waist part, or I should say under the waist part, okay, like the way I am doing over here. This will help you to get a smoother waist. Now as you can see, I've slashed it and made the waist smoother, and I'm pinning it on the princess line which is falling on the waist, clipping the excess over the bust so that I get a smoother princess marking on this panel. Okay, clipping the armhole ease, okay, and then putting a pin over the shoulder point and start with the cross marks. The first cross mark will be on the princess joint line. Take the dot marks along the waist, mark under armhole cross mark, take the marking over the armhole, like the way we did it in the basic bodice, and take the shoulder cross mark over the princess line. Just feel up the princess line so that you can take the dot marks along the princess line, and then we are done with our side markings. Now, like the way we did it in the basic bodice, we need to start truing. Okay, the truing stage will, you need to identify the points, and you need to start learning how to use the right curves on the scale by following the right dot marks on your muslin. Okay, and there is no strategic rule that this part of line curve you need to actually use or mark. You need to just follow the dot marks, which will help you to identify the right curves or French curve, like the way I'm doing. It's pretty simple, the lifting of these marks, and I assume if you have done basic bodice, then it will be easier for you to understand that. We will take our seam allowances, like the way we do. Over the neckline, we will take 1/4 inch of a seam allowance. Shoulder and princess line, we will take 1/2 inch seam allowance, and over the waist, we are going to take 1/2 inch seam allowance. And take the fabric off by cutting it, the excess around it. Now moving on to the side seam panel, we are going to lift the marks again with the help of French curve and hip curve, and we will identify the right curve around the lines which we need to achieve or lift. When we come to the side seam, we will follow the same procedure. We will make the dot line to the cross mark what we have achieved. Make it 1 inch down and 1/2 inch out from the armhole, and that is going to be our side seam line, the final side seam line. Okay, do the rest curve work on this panel and proceed further to marking the seam allowances. Now moving on to the next step, joining both the panels together. If you see, I have given a small notch mark around the apex point, which actually helps us to identify what lines we need to match first when we start the pinning. We will match the apex point first, okay, and these notch marks also help you to achieve the right bust level and the curves around the waist and the shoulder. Okay, and don't forget that we are going to fold the center front panel, will fold over the side front panel, okay, like the way I'm folding. Don't do it on the opposite side because it's not right, so you do it the way I'm doing it over here. And remember the way I have told you to pin your seams or darts. Okay, don't put too much of pins or don't put too less because it is gonna gape, so just do the right amount of pins. Now we are going to move on draping of the back. Okay, I have pinned it the way where I need to pin it, okay, on the shoulder blade line. And then you need to identify your waist where the princess line is falling, like the way we did it in the front. Slash and spread the waistline to get a smoother curve from your center back to the princess point on the waist. Do the same thing over the shoulder and neck. If you have extra neck fabric, then you need to slash and spread the way we drape the neck, and start marking over the princess line. Shoulder line and neckline, take the dot marks, and we are done with our center back. And then we will move to the side back panel. So for the side panel, you need to put the center line in the middle of the shoulder blade point, like the princess point to the armhole point, so that it's in the middle. And you will drop the parallel line on the waist wherever it's falling naturally. You don't need to shift forcefully on the either sides. Slash on the waist to drape the waist, okay, and make your pin marks, one on the side seam waist and the other on the princess waist seam, okay. The same thing you will do it on the shoulder. Let the shoulder line, let the center line go wherever it is going. If you see it's going little angular on the top, you should let it go, alright, wherever it's going. But make sure your bottom line of the princess parallel line is falling perpendicular to the waist, okay. And from the shoulder blade level to the other line, it can go in the direction wherever it's the grain is taking. Take the dot marks on the princess like the way I am doing it. Take your cross marks over shoulder and drape the armhole curve, alright. And again remove the pins and take it on over the flat to true the markings. Now truing is going to be the same the way we did it in the front. Use the right scales and the curves to identify the dot marks and join them together. Now we will start with the side back panel, okay. We will again start truing it by lifting the curves over here. And when you will be doing the side seam of the back panel, you have to remember that you need to also do 1 inch down and 1/2 inch out, like the way we did it in the front, so that the side seams match, the armholes match, and they fall on the right place, okay. Mark the seam allowances and then chop the excess fabric around the back panels also, and start with pinning. Now once the back is pinned and the front is pinned, now we need to attach front and back together, okay. Back over front is going to be pinned on the side seam like the way I am doing, okay. The same way the shoulders are also going to get attached, back over front. You will first take the marking of the shoulder. You need to attach the shoulder line matching the princess line, okay. You need to match the princess line first and put a pin in the center so that it matches very well, and let the excess go out towards the neck and towards the shoulder. This line needs to continue and follow the rhythm of the princess line throughout the shoulder, and then you will pin the shoulder line. Make sure once everything is pinned, you check that all the points are matching, the side seams are matching, the shoulder lines are matching. Now you take it over the dress form and see the fit and the hang of the top you have made. Okay. A shoulder princess panel bodice is ready, and you can see how it looks from all the angles. I would like you to try this now so that it opens up room for design and technical understanding of making a different kinds and fit of the top. Thank you.